Many people think that seeking perfection will make them better creators, but the truth is, perfectionism keeps you stuck, mediocre, and afraid of your own talents. Now, real creativity begins when you face your shadow and mature your relationship with the creative complex. So, now I will share a few key lessons I've learned after writing my first book without knowing how to write. And before we get into that, if you're interested in learning more about human psychology and shadow integration and creativity, you can join my newsletter down below. I'll also send you a copy of my book Pistis, Demystifying Human Psychology. So back in May, I launched my book Pistis on Amazon, and now over 200 people have a copy in their homes, and I just can't tell you how absolutely insane this is. But now people tell me all the time about their projects and unfinished books and ask me how I was able to write such an amazing book. Anyway, it's interesting to notice how people see you differently when you're able to bring to life an audacious project. They not only respect you more, but they also think you have many secret techniques. And my secret is that I didn't know anything about writing, and I'm serious when I say that. But funny enough, that's precisely why I think I was able to finish the book, because I didn't have any preconceived notion about what was feasible or not. I just didn't know if I was being crazy. So when I first had the idea for the book, I didn't consider myself a writer, and I don't say that in a demeaning way. I just never dreamt about writing a book, never took any courses, nor had mentors. I just gave myself full permission to experiment, try different things, and fail miserably if I had to. I allowed myself to be a beginner. And of course, I fully committed to the process as I've been writing almost daily for the past 2 years. But after launching the book, I could clearly see how powerful labels can be as they impose many expectations and limitations. So before I ever thought about becoming a therapist, I went to music school. And at the time, reaching perfection was the law. I would spend hours practicing scales and different musical pieces, but I never felt good enough. Even when I got compliments, I'd shrug them off and continue with my blind obsession. And with time, the joy of playing completely vanished and everything became very mechanical. Because I had this fixed idea about how a musician should be, and that left no room for spontaneity or creativity or simply, playing and having fun. I was so identified with my playing that any wrong note was a direct hit to my self-esteem. So naturally, I had stage fright and avoided playing in front of my colleagues or anyone really. And when I got into psychology, I understood that these fears and unreasonable perfectionism were rooted in an unresolved mother and father complex. And this made me relate to my craft and creativity in a childish manner and as a poor Eternus. And I already have a whole playlist on how to conquer the poor Eternus that I will link for you over here and also down below. So because of all these internalized rules, constant comparison, and fantastical ideals, I couldn't enjoy playing my guitar. In contrast, with writing, I'd never labeled myself, and I didn't have any role models to compare myself to. I had a natural fear of judgment, but that was it. So this beginner's mindset allowed me to mature my relationship with creativity and shift from striving for perfection to being guided by the creative spirit, or as Carl Jung would say, the creative complex. So I read The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin about a month before finishing writing my book. And I took one important lesson from it, which is always understanding what the creation wants to become. So instead of coming up with your own agenda and exploring creativity in a narcissistic and utilitarian way, you become a vessel for it. When you adopt this attitude, the most important thing isn't the outcome anymore, like to please others or receive validation. Now it's about producing something honest, sincere, and truthful. It's about allowing your soul to express itself. And as Rick Rubin says, it just happens that when you do that, others can truly connect with you and appreciate your creations. And as I was reading The Creative Act, I noticed many similarities between the individuation journey and the creative process. So In psychotherapy, Carl Jung proposes the use of the dialectic method, precisely because it doesn't work with fixed rules and we can tailor it to the individual. And of course, we follow certain guidelines, but we never know exactly where we are going to arrive beforehand, as we allow the spontaneity of the self to come forth and participate. And this is exactly what happens with creativity. If we try to control it and place expectations, we suffocate the creative spirit. And also, the individuation journey lies in a paradox between fulfilling the demands of the external world and the inner world. Now, the first is about our persona, our role in society, our commitments, and the ideal image we seek to portray. And the second is about uncovering our most authentic selves and enriching our inner lives through the connection with the animus and anima. The problem is that this image of perfection often goes against our true natures and leads us to hide important qualities of our personality that form our shadows. But during the creative process, the unconscious is manifested and we encounter all of these repressed aspects and raw emotions. So the creative act often defies this ideal image and challenges us to see ourselves in a new light and accept visceral emotions we never knew existed. The creative act demands that we obliterate our comfort zones so we can finally touch the truth. And that's why creating can be so cathartic and make us feel so whole at the same time. So creating is a way to symbolize what is hidden, connect with our most authentic selves, and dare to do the impossible. So when we fully open ourselves to the creative experience, we have the chance to become who we are meant to be. And that's why creativity is directly linked with integrating our shadows and individuating. One of my biggest challenges was always to accept my sensitive and emotional side. As I learned that feeling anything was not only a threat, but also for pulses, of course. And well, this made me feel anxious and depressed all the time. And I was also incapable of creating anything. And I remember looking at other people's creations and I would feel jealous and I would try to diminish them by saying, I could do better. But the problem is that I didn't, and I allowed this shame and fear to rule my entire life while others were rising above this childish narcissism and sharing their creations despite being afraid. Because to create anything worthy, we must be vulnerable. And as I worked on myself and started integrating the anima, mostly through active imagination and music, I learned to feel again. And I finally understood that the quality of our creations is directly correlated with our inner work and how willing we are to challenge the beliefs we hold. Because more often than not, what blocks creativity isn't technique, but our fear to allow it to be fully expressed. But the more we create, the more we give life to important parts of our personality, and the more whole we become. So if you desire to create anything worthy, you must follow your fear, sacrifice all of these childish ideals, and truly commit to developing your craft. All you need is a bit of courage. And lastly, you can learn more about my method to conquer perfectionism based on the flow state and become 700% more creative on the next video.